Welcome to SMG. If you've already subscribed, it's appreciated. If you haven't, consider it. And if you want to be notified the next time I make fun of my fat bastard buddy Jones, hit that notification flower and it's going to do whatever it does. Let you know that I'm busting stones on Jonesy. So we're back on the 80 cubic inch. I have some parts that came in. And I'm still waiting on some parts. So I thought we would do a quick video, right? I don't know how quick this is going to be, but we're going to do our best to get you the information that I have gathered and am familiar with. And always interested in comments from the, people that do this for a living out there. Let us know if we can save some time doing something a little different. But we're going to talk a little bit about cam lash, the gear lash, and the in play. So with that being said, I am going to, let's just jump into, here's our cam. It's an Andrews cam. And by the way, there's probably 4 or 5 videos to get where we're at now. And, we did a video on the cam bearing, we did a video on the breather gear, how to adjust that, the in play of the breather gear. This is just going to be talking about cam lash and cam in play. And we're going to do that, we're going to dry fit this. So everything's cleaned up in my cam chest. And what cam lash is here's our pinion gear. I'm going to take this is a little rubber cork I made because it takes us so long to get things accomplished that keeps the mice out. But anyhow, I'm not concerned right now with clocking anything and getting anything, set up as far as dots and making sure that the breather gear and the cam gear, are all lined up. I'm just going to throw this in here and just to show you. And what I want to show you is lash is kind of the best way I could describe it. It's the pressure in between, it's the space or pressure in between these two gears. So what is lash? You have your drive shaft coming off of the other side of your motor. You have this shaft that comes over that your pinion gear is attached to for your cam chest. So this shaft isn't perfectly straight. You have some run out. So if it's spinning, let's just call it a wobble. It's really not a wobble because it's not that pronounced. But you have some tolerance there, some give. So what you're doing, what lash is if you put this gear in, and again, I'm not clocking it, I'm just setting in there. Let's just say this is moving a little bit. This is stationary back here in the bearing. It's over here in your cam seal. And when that comes up and gets these gears get closer together, you want what lash is enough room to where you have some play, to where you can move that actual cam gear on the pinion gear at its tightest spot. So if it's too tight, if you have the wrong size pinion gear, and there's another video that explains matching and why I chose to keep my actual cam gear off of this bike because it was already married to this pinion gear. So if you have too tight of tolerances, it's going to whine, and it could mess up your bearings and not good. You don't want it too tight, and better to be a little loose than too tight. If it's loose, probably aren't really going to hurt anything, but you're going to have that kind of, you're going to have a ticking sound. So you want to have the tolerance of this to where it's tight, but yet in its in its closest spot together, for lack of better, way to explain it, you still want some play. So I think I can demonstrate it a little bit better than I can probably talk it. So what we're going to first do, I want to show you this actual cam gear lock washer. This is what that looks like. And you want to make sure you get it in. It really only goes in one way. But if you want an easy way to kind of figure it out, what you want to do is, if you can see, and if you don't know, I didn't know, you guys probably all know this technology, that if you're on your phone and you want to see something closer, you can zoom in on it while you watch the video. Go figure. I didn't know that. So if you can see this line right here, it's kind of at an angle right through here. That's the angle that you want this line here. So if you can see, if I set that in there against that line, see how it'll kind of set right there? And that's how that's set in there. If you flip this around, it's going to be there, and that's going to be wrong. All right, so you want to make sure that that flips at that angle there, to where it follows that line. So what I'm going to do is I'll take my cam shim, okay, that I know I need. This is 65 thousandths. And this is what I'm checking to see if I have to change. So I'm going to drop the cam shim on there. All right, and then I'm going to go through my washer, and I'm going to angle this at the right angle and push this back into the bearing. And I'm not worried about any of my dots here and timing anything. Just want to get that gear in here. Like that. Once my gear's in, what I want to do next is I'll throw in my breather gear. And again, I'm not concerned about any type of, timing or where the marks are. Just want everything in there. What I'll do next is, and this is where people have different ways that they do it. Some people will now put their gasket on, and see, there we go. We'll get it the right way. There you go. They'll put their gasket on, and they'll put their cam cover on, tighten things down just until they know that it touches the gasket and it's all flat back against this gasket. And when you tighten down to 100 to 120 inch-pounds, they claim that you get about 6 thousandths of a squish of this gasket. Now, what happens if you use different gaskets? Maybe someone out there could tell me. I question that stuff. But 6 thousandths, I think, is what I've heard. So people will then add 6 thousandths to their actual measuring tool and go ahead and actually, add the 6 to this so that they don't have to squish their gaskets. Another way I've seen people do it is they try to get as close as they can, and they'll tighten their gaskets up. And if it's not right, they'll take it out and they'll retighten it. I don't know. Tell me what you think. I'm not a big fan of tightening a gasket, undoing it, and putting it back on and doing it a couple times. I think once you get that squish, I'd like to keep it there if I can. So this might be a little different than what other people have done. Curious to see what you think. I I picked up feeler gauges. You can pick up feeler gauges for about under $5 from Amazon. And I utilize these things, and I actually have a video that, you know, I'll cut them off. I'll use them as shims. I'll shim things, and I just buy a set, and, you know, you can see how many I've cut off to use in different areas. They're handy. And what I decided I'd do is measure this gasket. I measured this gasket, and it measured 32 thousandths thickness. So if I get 6 thousandths actual squish, right, I would be at what, 28 maybe? 28, 29, 30, nope, 26. Yeah, 26. So if I took 6 thousandths off the 32 thousandths, it'd be 26 thousandths. So what I did, and that would be for the squish, where it would be when it's tight. So I went ahead and took my 26 thousandths shim, I cut them, and here's what I'm going to do. I am going to take a little bit of oil and put that on as I go through my seal, cam seal. I don't want to scar it up. And I will take my cam cover and I will put a little bit of oil in there and get that on my rubber seal right here. And I will go ahead and start to put this on. And if you just center it, you usually have to get your clutch cable out of the way a little bit. But it'll go right on. Okay, and there we go. All right, so now we've got that on there. Now, bolts, right? Here's what I found. My owner's manual or parts manual said that there were only 2 different lengths of bolts. I always mark my bolts when they come out. These 3 at the bottom are all the same size. They're the shorter ones. I have 2 that are a little bit longer, which go here and here, and the longest one goes here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the right bolts in the right place, stick them in, and I'm going to probably do this at about 3 points. Get that started. I'm going to take my longest one, and I'm going to start it over here. And if you ever have a problem with getting these started, you can go backwards, and you'll hear it pop. Listen to this. And as soon as it pops, go the opposite direction, and it should go in. Now, I typically don't have a lot of problems getting them in, but every now and then you'll get a stubborn one. And you don't want to cross-thread them. So there's my pop. And there you go. Give it a try if you're having an issue with one. And I'll take my next one, which is, in this I'll just go and probably be fine and not have to do the whole pop deal. But there you go. And take one of the short ones, and I'll come down and at least hit down at the bottom. Now what I'm going to do is I cut these 26 thousandths shims. I'm going to stick that shim right in here, and if you need to get this back, you can take a rawhide mallet, kind of tap it a little bit, get it back against. put that right there. And I'll grab another shim and I'll put it on this side. And I may have to unloosen this just a little bit. And this may be a little tedious, and people may say, hey, that's not necessary to do that, but I'll tell you why I'm doing this. Okay, I'll take one more from the bottom. Okay. And what I don't want to do is crank these real hard. I just want to go until I'm snug up against there, because I do not want to, I don't want to indent the aluminum, because this is aluminum, right? And I'm tightening until I know I can kind of feel that I'm up against that shim. And then I'll do a little. Okay, so I'm not cranking enough that I'm making any indents in the aluminum stuff. So what I did is I set it up to where that's my 6,000 squish. That's as if my cam cover was tight. Now, if I had two gaskets, I'd ruin a gasket. And this, again, this may be unnecessary, but for me, if I was to tighten this down up against the gasket, I truly don't know that, you know, if I'm tightening it, you know, am I getting a little too much squish? Am I not quite against the gasket? I don't have the feel because I don't do this every day. So this is just a way that I feel better, that I'm in the best spot I can get for the limited times that I have done this. So this should put me out to where this cover is where it should be when it's tight. Now I'm going to remove the camera. Well, here's one thing I'll do. I do have my back wheel off the ground. Show you another little thing that I do that kind of helps me out, if I can find out where it's at. Give me 5. I'll find my part. All right, so I found it. It was over on the bench. I picked up a 10/32 piece of all thread, and I picked up a little knob that happens to have a 10/32 female thread. Screwed that on, and now I can actually screw this in to where the ignition rotor that will go on here. All right, the screw that holds that ignition rotor on is this 10/32. It has 10/32 threads. So I can thread this right into the end of my cam. Okay, so what that does is give me where I don't, you know, and you can put your finger through and push the back and push this forward, but that is lash. Now, end play is how much I'm pulling it out and how much I'm pushing it back. If I didn't have any end play, you wouldn't be able to hear that. And I wouldn't be able to feel it going back. So there's two things you want to check now that we're in this position. One is Lash, 2 is in play. Okay, right now I want to check Lash, and that is, can I move that back and forth? Okay, and is it too tight or is it too loose? Okay, so I'm not real concerned about this, and I'll tell you why. It's in another video. That is my original pinion gear, and that is my original cam gear that I put on a new camshaft, an Andrews camshaft. So I know that that setup came from Harley. It ran well. There was no noise when I took it down, took it apart. So I'm confident that it's set up right, and I really don't even have to check this. But I'm doing this just in case you need to figure out, is your pinion gear and how do you set up Lash. So what you want to make sure is that I will move now my back wheel, and I do have the spark plugs out. I have it in 5th gear. My back wheel's off the ground. Have a center jack on about 1 inch. I'm going to bump this a little bit, and I'm going to feel that. Go a little more. Feel that. Go a little bit more. Good. A little bit more. So it's kind of a feel thing. So what I'm doing is doing one full. Now right now I'm at the tight spot. Okay, let's get past this. I'm going to go here. That's the tight spot, okay? So, but it's not bound. I still have Lash. I still have play, but it's tighter. Now when I get to right there is the loose spot. So what I'm doing is what am I doing now? We had some company. I got sidetracked trying to get back into this. So long story short, hopefully this makes sense, that the only reason I did this was to be able to easily maneuver this. So goal is get to your tightest spot, and I believe my tightest spot that's my loosest spot. Is right probably there. Right there it is. So you're going to have a tight spot. So you want to get to your tightest spot. When I got to the tightest spot, you can move that. And it's not bound, but it's much tighter than the other. So if it got to a point where you couldn't pull it out and it was so tight, then I would look at putting the next size smaller or 2 sizes smaller pinion gear. But knowing that was all married together, I feel real comfortable with that. So that is how you do Lash, and that's what Lash is. We're going to get to checking the actual in play here just in a second. Let me reset this camera up. So hopefully you can see the cam right here. Here's the cam. This is the cam spacer, and this is the washer. And you can see as I move this in and out, you can see my in play. And as I pull this out, you'll you'll be able to see me push this washer over. That gap right there between the cam and the spacer is what we're measuring the gap. We want to be between 10 and 15 thousandths. So that's a, that's a short tolerance. So what I do is I get a 10 thousandths feeler gauge and I get a 15 thousandths feeler gauge. And once I have those two, I will go ahead and keep my wheel at whatever position it's at. And I will take that and I will see if I can get, and I'm trying to get this where you can see it. Can I get a 10 thousandths in there? Yes, I can. Now, can I get a 15 thousandths in there? And I'm trying to get it to where it stays in focus. I can get a 15 thousandths in there. So I have more, so let me go up and see what I have. Can I get a 16 in? Okay, there's a 15. Here's a 16. It will go in 16. Let's see if we can get a 17. Well, I'm going to go right to an 18. Cannot get an 18 in. So it's probably 17 thousandths. So it's 2 thousandths over what the spec is. So let's move my wheel a little bit. And we'll move that cam around. And I am going to recheck. And what I'm going to do is go around full revolution and I'm going to check that. And I'm going to see. I could get a 15 in. Let me try. $17. $17 does not want to go in. And 16, so I'm about a thousandths over there. So I will continue to do that all the way around, and just for sake of saving time, if I feel like I'm about 2 thousandths over the 15, and my only option is to drop down with a cam shim, I think they're about 5 thousandths a piece difference. I will probably stay at the 15 thousandths. I'll be at the high end. I'd rather have a little too loose than too tight. If I drop down 5, I'm going to be below the 10. So that's a decision you're going to have to make on your own where you want to be. I'd love to know from the mechanics out there. Well, I'll ask that question when we're finished up here. But that's how you check the end play. And you can see we have that much, which right here is about 16 thousandths. So that's how you set up Lash, and that is how you set up end play. Now, that's providing I get 6 thousandths squish on that gasket. Maybe you get a little bit more. Maybe you don't get enough. I'll know once I tighten it down, and I will, when I fit everything, I will check everything to make sure that I'm good. But I feel pretty good about that overall. And I think maybe, I've watched a lot of videos. I've watched a lot of good people. Some people sweat things. Some people don't sweat things. I tend to sweat things, so I would rather be safe than sorry. So hopefully that helps to explain what cam lash and end play is. So my next step is, once I figure out exactly where I'm going here, I will disassemble everything. I'll start to lube things up, and I'll start building things back together, and it'll go pretty quick then. Actually, this job is probably a 4-hour job from start to finish. That's taken all summer because I haven't worked on it. And actually, the people that are doing the videos, like, you know, that are wrenching and trying to show you what they're doing, trying to teach, 2 thumbs up to everybody that does that. It takes a lot of additional time, but it's way cool because, you know, I'm learning a boatload. We're able to work on our bikes in our own garage, and I couldn't do this and be able to afford somebody to do it. So thanks for everybody out there that that does this stuff, passes their knowledge on. It's appreciated. So you get a chance, punch that monkey in the throat, slap that bell, pat that poodle bug, whatever else you want to do, and enjoy your evening. Happy Monday. What's up, Zeus? What's going on over there? I think he's mousing maybe. But anyhow, enjoy your evening. If you ride him, wrench him, but only if you want to. Peace.